Welcome back, y'all, to the A-List with J5 here for this next segment. This is kind of a ramen talk, uh, kind of like a reunion here between the three of us. Of course, I'm here with Cyrus from the War Report and MC, who's kind of like a friend of the pod, friend of the show, friend of the everything. Somehow he's in all of our admin meetings. I don't know how he gets brought into them, but he's here too.
An unofficial member. It feels good to be included in the A-list. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, so as you guys have just seen, we had Meals and we had Quan, and they just did 20 through 16. We're here to do 15 through 11. And listen, man, this is a pretty good list here that we have. One thing that shocked me with the A list this year is that like we didn't argue about this at all. Like we might have had like a couple of ones that like we were like, maybe we should change this, but like we didn't argue about none of this shit whatsoever, which is kind of the crazy part to me.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. The list went up at like midnight or something. You know, Meals was working his ass off, and then I'm looking through the list, and I was just like, "Does Gargano's return really need to be that high? Like, why is that higher than Roman Brock at SummerSlam? You feel me? Like that didn't make no real sense to me." And then, you know, I'm up. I gave my 2 cents, and everybody was just like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Let's start putting stuff together." And we all collectively agreed, no arguing or anything. So. Organized men.
That's tough. And that's tough. I mean, we people love to argue about everything, and we didn't argue about shit. And I mean, I think we got a pretty solid list, and I love our entries too. So let's get into number 15 on the list. Judgment Day turns on Edge and forms with Finn Balor. And let's kind of talk about Judgment Day before we get into this. This was a group that was kind of started and formed at WrestleMania. We were in the building. Edge versus AJ. Damian Priest comes out, distracts AJ. Edge gets the win, and we finally get the beginning of the Judgment Day. And it was a group that was kind of like it was there, but people just really weren't feeling it. They weren't feeling Edge going heel after just being such a successful babyface and just coming back to WWE after being out for like a year or nearly a year after the Seth program was over. And then you have this, and it just wasn't really working. What do you guys think about the Judgment Day before the Finn Balor turn?
For me, Judgment Day was a lot of where
Spooky shit.
Yeah, it was spooky shit, but I was just like, okay, like where's the goal? Like you want to defeat AJ Styles, you want to beat up AJ Styles or whatever, but like, what's your goals after this, and then they do the WrestleMania match, and then the Raw after WrestleMania, and it's just still just cryptic spooky shit, and I'm just like, where's your goals, your aspirations? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like, it was so cryptic, and it wasn't really clear to me, so I didn't really enjoy it that much.
And I was kind of with it at first because I'm used to a heel Edge. The theme was a little bit darker. Obviously, it's also Alter Bridge, but I like the theme. The theme was a lot different from his traditional theme that he's had through the past couple of years. But I was on board with it. But I guess when you've been one of the bigger heels in history, like when you're the rated R superstar, I guess it's kind of hard for people to buy into now a new heel moniker for you, I guess you would say. And with the way that Edge is so in tune and tapped into, the audible experience of how people are experiencing it in arenas compared to what you are seeing online, I guess those things kind of get to him pretty quickly.
And they were noticing that it wasn't working. Like this thing was not working. It was not getting anyone over. The matches with the AJ were kind of like whatever. And I mean, you added Rhea, which was something cool, and she turned on Liv, and then you had Damian Priest there as well. And it was a nice faction, but they just weren't getting over until this moment. And I say this was kind of like I think the Finn thing was also the kind of the culmination or really the crossroads, because this went a different way than what we thought it would. Finn turns on Edge, but that's not really the whole story here. The bigger story is that as this happens, they debut and they disappear off of TV for weeks. And in between that, Vince McMahon is caught in a scandal that pretty much changes everything about what Judgment Day is, and Triple H takes over. So Finn becomes the leader. Rhea is also one of Triple H's children. Damian Priest is also one of Triple H's children. And it becomes a very, very different faction after they turn and after the weirdness of it. Because another thing that they added to this was Rey Mysterio and the growth of Dominic Mysterio. How do you guys feel about the Dominic Mysterio angle?
I'm fucking with it. honestly speaking, I could tell he knows how to piss off many different towns, many different arenas, and it's so fucking easy. Oh my god, you bring up Eddie, people just launch their popcorn, launch their drinks. It's so easy. And for Dominic Mysterio to be able to entice a lot of that is something that I think is pretty underrated, because before that it was pretty tough for Dominic to try and at least entice any form of emotion from crowds, and adding him and giving him a new heel experience of him turning on his dad, doing something completely different from the Mysterio lineage, that ended up being something that I appreciated.
For me, at least, you know, with Edge as a leader, I was like looking at like, okay, what is Edge is trying to achieve? Like, what's his goals, and like, you know, what's what he has next in mind. But you know, in this current iteration, I'm like super hyper focused on the growth of everybody in the group now, similar to like how I kind of like look at NXT. I always wanted Dom to be this sort of character, not just I'm Rey Mysterio's son, you know, like I always wanted him to be more than that. And then he's finally, Judgment Day is finally bringing out like a character, regardless of how anybody feels about in-ring, he's different now. And that feels great. Like he has way more depth to him than he did when he was with Rey. And it makes me so much more invested in Judgment Day, just watching Dom grow now.
And bigger than that, Rhea Ripley, this to me is probably her best run. She's the mastermind, the puppet master behind the scenes that's kind of dragging Dom into the dark side. But also people, they go from week to week. Is she the leader? Is Finn the leader? Is she, you know what I'm saying? What is that? Like who is the de facto leader of this group? And she's just really coming to her own. Again, something else terrible that happened. She had an injury that kept her out for at least like 4 to 5 months. She wasn't able to wrestle, so she had to create a character. And Judgment Day helped her do that. Speaking of characters, Damian Priest becoming a better talker on the mic. Bigger than that, Finn Balor. We get Gangsta Finn. He's wearing Balenciaga mask. He's walking around with his chest out. Finn is having such a fun time, and he said in an interview before, like, I'm having the best time of my career, and if you don't like it, then I don't care. Like, I'm having fun doing this, and I really believe you can see that he's having a really fun time, and the matches are fucking great. Like, they're great.
Yeah, Finn having a great time. I know a lot of people aren't like, they probably aren't the biggest fans of this, but like, what I see that a lot of those people are looking for is that they want Finn to go on his New Japan run here. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So let him collect his check, let him have fun, let him help other people grow. Finn is a vet. He's been in this thing for a really long time. So if he just wants to help Rhea, Damian Priest, Dominique, all of them grow, into something bigger, that's perfect, man.
And I love that he takes shots at that. Like, yeah, I have built a whole bunch of this thing that now exists in different promotions. I built you. I could break you down. You were in a different build of this group that I built my damn self. He takes shots at that very, very easy. And I think that's also something that tries to battle a lot of that. Just go back to Prince Devitt shit that you were doing like a decade ago. I have grown from that. And
what's crazy is that like, a lot of the stuff that he does in Judgment Day is kind of shades of, the stuff he was doing in New Japan, being an asshole, cheating,
shit talker.
Yeah. So it's just another thing, just not at the top of the card yet.
Do we see big things for Judgment Day in 2023? Maybe a title? Maybe do we see big? Because they're the biggest things on Raw. Like if Roman's not there, they're the biggest things on Raw right now.
I see big things for everyone. Soon as the Bloodline no longer is holding all the titles hostage.
Absolutely, I know Mark agrees with that. I'm not even gonna.
Oh, absolutely. But like you had said, when Rhea got injured, that was gonna end up probably being a really good program between her and Bianca Belair. She could have been the Raw Women's Champion, but those injuries bring you back, and now we have to find something different. But the way that Rhea has been so hot within this, I'm sure those "I'm Your Mommy" shirts flying off them damn shelves. Rhea's gonna have something pretty nice in 2023.
Yeah, for sure. Our next thing, another shocker, another surprise this year. So we talked about a major crossroads in WWE that happened, and this happened on this list, happened at SummerSlam 2022, just weeks after Vince McMahon retired from the WWE. And that's right, I'm talking about Damage Control debuting at SummerSlam. And let me set the stage here. This is the first pay-per-view without any input or anything from Vince McMahon. This is Triple H's first pay-per-view, and it is one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year that he has to do. The first match that they have is Bianca versus Becky Lynch, and basically the blow-off match to their year-long feud. One of the greatest matches of all time. Obviously, they had a match at WrestleMania as well. This was kind of the part 3 of that. And they finished the match, and out of nowhere, you hear Bayley's music. You're like, okay, we expected Bayley to come back. We knew she was ready. It was rumored that she was gonna come back. It was gonna happen. Bayley comes out. Bianca's like, yeah, whatever. Then you hear Dakota Kai's music, and you're like, what the? Is that how you feel, H? Is that what's going on here? She comes out, and it's like, okay, all right, cool. She's back. And then you hear Io Shirai's music, or Io Sky's music now, and she comes out, and it's like, oh, he's trying to shit on him this time. Triple H is really in his bag. And remember, we had heard that Io wasn't coming back. She missed home. She wants to go home. She doesn't want to be in WWE anymore. She wants to go back home. Then Dakota Kai was released months before this, literally right after WrestleMania, and Stand and Deliver. She was released. She got let go, and they're back. What were you guys feeling when you saw this? Like the first thing on SummerSlam last August.
I think it ends up being a pretty feel-good moment because out of all the releases that came earlier in the year, I think Dakota Kai was one of the ones that shook up the Discord, I would say the most, just off how many people like Dakota Kai, just from her character in ring, her outside of the ring as well. She was a very generally liked person between all of us. So that being the release that hurt the most was probably one of the best moments, one of the more shocking moments when SummerSlam came. And then when we saw Io Sky now debuting on the main roster, that was something that was amazing too, because we all watched how NXT ended. And that was something that we just weren't 100% certain on when her return would be, not only to NXT, but now we see it completely in a main roster, and especially in a big trio, a trio that we don't really see too much in the women's division like that, between all three of them to now take out the Raw Women's Champion.
Yeah. I agree with everything Mark said. Like the Dakota Kai release was a shock. The Io Shirai rumors about her wanting to like leave WWE and get back, go back home, I think those were all really over exaggerated. Of course, somebody who's not from the US is gonna miss their home. Yeah. Like it doesn't need to be, they just need to take a break, see their family again. And, I'm sure that the pandemic has weighed on a lot of the international folks that like WWE hired. So it was just like, let's stop thinking in like a wrestling aspect and let's start thinking like a more human, she's definitely.
She wants to go back to Stardom. Like, all right.
I was like, no, she wants to see her damn family. Like there's a complete difference here. Stop being a mark. But nah, I love this, the return right after a fantastic match. And it, kind of just showed us like what we have to look forward to, and it's been great so far.
Yeah, and one thing that we didn't even mention within all of that, this was like a 35-40 minute segment between the match and the afterbirth of everything that happened. Becky Lynch turns face, they face off, her damn shoulder hanging off the bone, and we didn't know that at that point. But then the next night she actually has to take some time off. And now she's back, and we're back at it. And again, the Damage Control carried the summer and the fall into the winter as the big top female heel group in the company against Bianca Belair. They had the huge War Games match this year, and I would say that it was pretty successful to bring them back because they needed bodies. Sasha and Naomi were gone. They needed people to work, and they found three women that could really work, and they're doing great here. Next one on the list. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have such a great and storied career in WWE. It's actually the 10-year anniversary of their career this year, which is actually makes a lot of sense for this actual next part on the list. But picture, if you will, Roman Reigns having an unbeatable, untouchable title reign so far, if with the Universal title, and Seth Rollins wins a chance to face him at Royal Rumble. He's getting in his head. He's really getting to him. Getting that laugh, I think, is probably the thing that's getting to him the most. But you're at the Royal Rumble. Roman comes out first, and we're all like, "What the fuck is Roman coming out first?" And I was like, "Oh, Seth must be coming out in a unicorn or some shit. He must be doing some crazy shit." And you hear the Sierra, Echo, Lima, whatever the fuck they say, Delta, Shield, And then you see him in the crowd, tactical vest, tactical outfit, crowd is going fucking insane. And then he walks down and Roman cannot believe it. And they go on to have one of the most enjoyable matches of the year. Of course, this list entry is Seth Rollins' Royal Rumble entrance. What did you guys feel about it?
I thought that it was amazing, especially all the way from SmackDown, because from SmackDown you're getting a little bit of the Joker talking that you get from Seth Rollins and how he's going to try and get into Roman Reigns' head. I think it's a way that for the past 2 years we have not seen too much, obviously due to different ties. Even though Roman is damn near the biggest thing that this company has seen in 20 plus years, that chair shot is still ringing in the back of his head. A lot of those few years of Seth Rollins turning on his two friends to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion is something that still bothers him. Even throughout this entire journey of how Roman Reigns has become a multiple time and one of the biggest champions of all time, these small things that were in the beginning of his career, in the beginning of his story leading up to now, are some things that still lay in his head. And I think pretty good way that they illustrate.
I love this entrance a lot. This feud between Roman and Seth Rollins was something that was always really interesting to me, especially how Seth really got under his skin. And then, on the go home show on SmackDown, Seth really, kind of cut deep. And I just think, once the Royal Rumble came around, this was like the cherry on top of all, all the Seth Rollins shit talking. And it popped me crazy. I still, that is in my top 10 matches of this year, just off the entrance alone. And I thought the match was fantastic.
And then bigger than that, Seth actually wins this match by DQ. Because Roman, his hatred for Seth is so it's so intense that he hits him with a chair, and he's just like, you know what? Because Seth he's not giving up. You know what I mean? He tries to do everything. They have a great fucking match. These two have some of the best chemistry of any wrestlers on in the company, and it's really just an emotional match, but something that's also we wanted more of it. But I think that it's smart that they don't give us more of it, because we saw so much in 2015, 2016, and now it's that's an attraction match, right? Like Seth and Roman is something where it's you should not give that away if you don't have somewhere to go with it. And obviously the goal with them was to get to the Brock and Roman thing at WrestleMania. So obviously we didn't want to do that. But one of the best entrances, go back and watch it this year after you listen to this or watch this. It's one of the best and most effective and most funny entrances that you've seen. And he even does the roll when he comes over he goes over the barricade. I was like, okay, he's just doing everything at this point, but really one of the most enjoyable entrances, and that's why it made the spot on the A-list. So next up, Ring of Honor. One of my favorite promotions ever. It really got me into wrestling when I was in college. It was something that really birthed my fandom of Seth Rollins, who was Tyler Black, CM Punk, Nigel McGuinness. So many legends came from the Ring of Honor ring. And this year, I got a phone call from somebody. I'll call him my CIA operative.
Sure.
He tells me Tony Khan just bought Ring of Honor. I say, what? I say, yeah, he bought him. And he hangs up. I say, okay. Yeah, he just hung up. Okay, wow. How'd you get my number? And it comes out, Tony, they were like, well, we don't know who bought it. And I was like, can't y'all just say who bought it?
Yeah.
Niggas were saying HBO Max. I said, nigga, what? I said, what? I don't want that shit. Tony Khan bought it. Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. He buys them. To go back in the story, they had announced their hiatus after Final Battle in 2021 to reimagine the brand. Little did we know they were putting the brand up for sale. And on March 2nd, Tony Khan announced that he purchased ROH, and from there proceeded to kind of start putting them on TV immediately. You started seeing the Ring of Honor World Championship being defended on there. You started seeing AEW guys mix it up with some of the, well, I mean, really AEW guys are ROH guys, but you started seeing them mix it up with more ROH talent, like Dalton Castle, who would come in, Gresham, who had a bad experience when he came in, and stuff like that. I want to know from your opinion, Cyrus, since you do the War Report every week, has this kind of shaken out to be something that's successful for Tony Khan and AEW as a whole, or is it something that they need to go to the drawing board with?
Personally, I definitely think they need to go to the drawing board with it. And the first thing that needs to be on top of the whiteboard is, putting up the video library online. That is the first thing that needs to go up. Because I truly don't feel as if, Tony Khan is he ever gonna break even on his purchase, because damn well he overpaid for that ROH library. I don't think he's ever gonna break even with the way that ROH is still being distributed right now. Just throwing guys on AEW, having shows every other weekend. There's no television deal for them or anything like that. I think first things first, you need to get that catalog out there, and then we can really try to build after.
I mean,
it's not working mixing the TV together.
It's such a weird thing that I feel like there is no respect for that tape library. I understand there has to be work done, but you got the money. You're the billionaire. Everyone says Tony got money.
Yeah, pay
an
editor.
Pay somebody to take those songs out, to take the announcers out. Put Tony Schiavone on it, or put Excalibur on it. That would be really fun to hear him talk about things from the past, because I know he was at a lot of these shows. You know what I mean? That would be really fun to do, but it just seems like they want to just get more content on TV for a show that they only have 2 hours for. And Mark, I know that you were kind of less versed in ROH than myself or Cyrus was. Was this something that you were looking at where it's like, okay, I'm going to be able to go back in the trenches and go back to the tapes, but now you haven't been able to see that? What have you thought of this?
Yeah, in my experience, I've mostly known of Ring of Honor from forums, from Matt Hardy screaming it on Raw when he tackled Edge. My experiences with Ring of Honor are pretty small. So when this was introduced, I was hoping that this would be something that ends up on some form of an app, because with spot callers, with things of conversation that we do on the A show, I was like, maybe I could tap into this and see an early Tyler Black. I can see Nigel McGuinness taking over this damn company. I can see Kevin Steen. I can watch El Generico and things of that nature. But it looks like those end up being things that, continue to be kept in the DVD culture, throughout the small culture with that. And that's a hard way to try and tap into some Ring of Honor wrestling. So that was something that has been a little bit disappointing for me. But even through my small watches of AEW, I can get a little bit of a small idea of how Ring of Honor is being ran now, but it's not really as enticing as it is to try and watch a 2008, 2009 pay-per-view of some of our greats before they end up making it into NXT, and then of course WWE runs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, again, it's a tough situation, because you have a lot of talent there that are in WWE that you could say we have the ability to use them without WWE interfering, and you just don't do it. That's a flex for y'all. He's just not doing it. You know what I mean? That's a flex.
Yeah.
And there was also the big quote of this not wanting to be a tab on an app, but I would probably fucking appreciate that tab on the app. I know we're taking the higher than route right now, but you're opening yourself to a lot more fans and a lot more eyes with that.
But they tried to say they didn't want to be a tab on the app. I'm just like, bro, it's a tab on the app that paid them $1 billion to be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? That the Peacock paid WWE to do that. And I think that if you would wish that someone would pay for the ROH library. at this point, from what I'm seeing, it's almost been a year. No one's paying for it at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really disappointing. And then this is also a larger conversation about physical media kind of just dying in this digital age, because it's either being locked up in a vault or not really properly distributed on the digital platform. So
yeah,
I think
so. Big moment for sure, made the A-list, but I don't know if the follow-up has been as successful as we wanted. So Tony, hopefully he gets it together in 2023. There's a ROH pay-per-view this month as well. I just saw that was happening literally today, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck this nigga's doing, man.
Hey man, the video library goes up. I don't care what he does with ROH after. If I could watch, Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson kill each other 50 times over on some random app, let it be Fight TV or Bleacher Report or High Spots or anything, I don't care what happens on AEW TV.
Yeah. The number 11 thing on the list, I almost kind of gave it away. My bad. Sami Zayn is one of the most popular people on the roster right now, and his 6-month storyline with the Bloodline, or really just coming to find himself on SmackDown, has been one of the highlights of the show. And now this year he became the official. Well, he's officially an Uso now. But what is on this list this year is the honorary Uso segment from SmackDown, where he comes out and Roman Reigns finally acknowledges Sami Zayn as the honorary Uso. One of the funniest segments, one of those segments that you were going to remember for a long, long time. From Jey Uso's commentary, his facial expressions, to Roman Reigns' facial expressions and commentary, to the shirt being ripped off of his skin. What did you guys think of the honorary Uso segment from SmackDown from a couple of months ago?
I thought the segment was really funny, and what's cool is that we both watched it together when I was in LA.
Yeah.
I thought the segment was really funny because, you know, Jey Uso just has this problem with Sammy, and then Roman is just like, I don't understand the issue. I don't even understand the issue. And then he was just like, all right, the problem is he not family? All right, I'll just make his ass family right now. Now what, nigga? Jey Uso ripping off the shirt of Sammy is like the most hilarious part. Because I felt like Sami Zayn was going to do something like this.
Drag the shirt like this.
Yeah.
Imagine a nigga drag the shirt off like that. We got to fight. I don't care who's in front of you, dog.
Sammy hit a damn players club.
Yeah.
Covered them nipples super quick.
Oh, what did you think of it, Mark?
I thought it was pretty interesting, just Sami Zayn's introduction into the, or I guess infiltration, I guess you could say, into the bloodline in general. Because around WrestleMania Backlash time, I was like, man, they are really going to run this entire thing. How the hell is this going to continue for the next couple of months and still be somewhat entertaining when it's not just them just beating everybody's ass? And the inclusion of Sami Zayn into this has not only created doubt in certain cases, but it has also provided an entertainment, so much damn entertainment that I feel like online, like this is damn near a 2022 Mick Foley. Like this is something from Sami Zayn that I did not, that I just did not expect. And I've loved Sami Zayn for a good amount of time. He's one of the reasons that I watched NXT to begin with. But seeing his popularity and how this has led to a segment like this, where his inclusion into the bloodline is one of probably the bigger pops of the damn year, is something that I just couldn't call it.
Yeah, and Paul, after Survivor Series, Paul Heyman says some really nice words and nice things about Sami Zayn, basically being the glue of how things work. Like he doesn't have to be the guy, but as a guy in that main event, his first kind of main event ever, by the way, a main roster, and getting to pick up that win was showing that he was the glue that keeps a lot of this stuff together, and people are just now starting to notice it. And I think that that's absolutely true. Sammy has been such a major part, the heart and soul, if you will, of a lot of things, from KO to the Jackass thing from this year. Like he has provided, like remember the phone number where he got his phone number put out, and he was doing the stuff online with that. Like he has always kind of worked very hard to get things and people over, and now he's finally here, and I think that's great. Like, what have you guys thought about like he should face Roman stuff? Is that kind of going too far?
I wouldn't necessarily say too far, because I think at most what that comes from for most people is they just want Sami Zayn to be one of the bigger faces, if not the top face of the company. Getting him to face Roman Reigns could end up being something that is pretty tough. I know that these things have tried to be illustrated since Survivor Series of the look that Roman Reigns gave Sami Zayn afterward, but for the most part, it's gonna be interesting for people that really want that and try and find a way of how we get that towards WrestleMania. I think that ends up being a lot more tougher than the different programs that we have seen reported and rumored throughout these next couple of months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sami Zayn, being the glue is really important. Like, not everybody needs to be like the top dog, This is a foundation. Like, Sami is a foundation for SmackDown. Like, and he's been that for I think 4 months now. I think that to me speaks a lot more than, he's the guy with the title now. You're holding the ship together. Like that means a lot for me. As far as the face to Roman part, like maybe if there's a dissension between them two, Roman kind of gave him everything. I made you an Uso. I brought you into my family, blah, blah, blah. And then you turn your back on me? Hell yeah, I want my ones. It don't have to be a title match, but Roman Reigns just wanted to get his anger out.
Yeah, and more than likely, from the other areas that you can go towards, he probably could end up being involved in a championship loss because there's still Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens still wants that part 4 and still wants to beat his ass and get that title. If they end up doing that, Sammy would more than likely play a part. If there's others that win the Royal Rumble, I'm sure Sammy will find his way to sneak into that idea, into that program, and make it as well. So even if it is not just a solid one-on-one Sami Zayn Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, I'm sure that there are ways that they are going to get him into that picture and make it make it a talking point like that, similar to like how Harper was between
niggas really wanted Harper to have the title match that year, and I was like, Randy Orton is the clear bigger option here. He's the star here, and it's like you don't always, like Cyrus said, you don't always need everyone to be like, not everybody can be the top guy. But if you're someone that bolsters and makes the top guys look good, you're gonna have a career forever. You can have a career probably longer than the top guys that they're gonna have. You know what I mean? And Sammy has fully realized where he's at, and I couldn't help but be more like happier for the guy. There was also another segment that people thought should have been on the list, and we kind of consolidated all of them. So there was the honorary Uso and the Usi segment. I felt as though the Usi segment was just kind of like we need to fill 20 minutes of time. Honorary Uso, it furthered this storyline. What did you guys think when you saw that on the list?
I agree. Not feeling Usi, I felt like that was like, that was something that was either written down or improvised, and it popped everybody, but like ultimately it didn't really move the story forward. Like it was the biggest laughs of all night, but like the story didn't really move forward. I felt like with the honorary Uso thing is just like, this is another chapter in this story, and it's comedic as well.
So you're not copping the shirts? You're not copping the Feeling Usi shirt?
I'll cop the Feeling Usi shirt, but the honorary Uso shirt is definitely what moved. That moved the needle.
Yeah. Ain't no grown man feeling Usi. We know what Usi means in Samoan. But anyway, that is 15 through 11 on the A-list. Thank you guys for listening. Of course, you can catch Cyrus on the War Report when he returns to the War Report. You can catch me on the A Show. You can catch Mark on the Black Print and just kind of being around our Discord. I don't know what you do here, but you're in this list. Thank you for joining us, guys. Exactly. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you guys later on the A-list. The next 5 are really good. We're getting to the nitty-gritty here, the top 10, then the 5 through 1. I'll be back with Meals for 5 through 1. But thank you guys for watching this, and we'll see you guys later on the A-list. Peace.